Today we got something a little bit different, right? You know, there's lots of speaker brands that you know, and I think there's probably some that you don't know. And I think this might be one that you've never seen before, because I don't come across it all that often out in the wild, but when I do, it's always spectacular, and this is no difference, and I'm going to show these things to you right now. What we've got right here is the Atlantic Technology 8600Is. You got the left and right, and you've also got the center channel. And I mean, look at this thing. The center channel is an absolute monster. It is humongous. Now, this is obviously in the white. They also have this in the black as well. But as you can see, I've got the nice white furniture there. These are interesting, right? These obviously are designed to do home theater, right? You can see that here. But I want to dig into these a little bit and talk a little bit about what we got going on, and then we'll listen to them and everything else. But first off, look at this. All right. So, you know, this is shallow, right? So this is like, I don't know, that's like a foot, it may be 14 inches deep. And that's it. And that I think is pretty special, because when you have speakers in your home, right, in a situation where you have this kind of furniture, right, it's almost always too deep, right? And they stick out way into the room, and it becomes kind of a problem. Well, these are shallow enough that you can easily put them beside your furniture, and it's not going to cause a problem, right? They're not going to stick out too far. So aesthetically, I like the way they're built. Now look at the top here. It's not quite a square, but it's almost a square. And yeah, that's right. That's a glass plate that's up here, which is kind of cool, right? So if you want to put your beverage on top, I guess it could be a beverage holder without damaging the speaker at all. But you can see, you know, it's nice and tall and thin and shallow. It has a really nice look to it. If you look at the grill, it's got a nice little silver accent there across the middle, which is pretty cool. And we can see that as we assemble these, the grill actually came in two parts, right? And then this holds the top part along with the bottom part. But aesthetically, they're pretty cool. Oh, and they wanted me to make sure that I showed the feet off, and the feet are pretty rocking. I mean, it's a nice system that they've got here for these guys. Looks quite nice, and of course, it adds to the functionality of the speaker as well. We're going to go ahead and remove this front grill so we can get a better look at the speakers in here. And I mean, this is some pretty good magnetic grills they got going on here. But since this is two pieces, when you pull this front off, I'm always kind of careful to make sure I don't bend it too much there in the middle, because it's, you see, I mean, let me see if I can take it apart. So you can see how it goes together when you assemble it. All right, let's talk about what we got on the front of this speaker, right? So, you know, taking a step back, you can see that there's four big drivers, two medium size and one little one, right? So there are two 8-inch glass fiber woofers, and these are the two on the top. Now, there's also two passive radiators of the same size here on the bottom. So, you know, this is, you know, a design similar to a ported design, but it uses the passive radiators in place of the ports. So the back pressure from the active drivers will make these guys move, and it adds a little bit of low-end reinforcement on these speakers right now. From a mid-range point of view, gosh, it looks like there are maybe 2.5-inch mid-range drivers here, and then a 1-inch dome tweeter. So that gives you a complement of 2 active 8s, the 2 active mid-range, and the 1 active tweeter. Now here we are with the grill off, and you can see I'm using an awesome piano stool as a stand here. And the reason for that is because this thing is humongous. I mean, it's big. Look, those are 8s there in the front, and there's some space above and below those, right? And then if you look, there's a lip right here. Let me put my finger in frame, right? So you see this, and the grill actually matches that curve, so it adds even a little more front on this, so that the depth gets deeper. So this is deeper than the actual tower itself, and it's pretty darn tall. So if you see this TV back there, if you're trying to put this under a TV, well, mount the TV on the wall, or if you've got a some type of cabinet. This would barely even fit in this IKEA cabinet that I've got if I took one of the shelves out. For the driver allocation, we've got these 2 8-inch bass drivers that are on the side of the MTM, the mid array. And this tweeter and mid-range array is exactly the same that you see over here. And that's important, right? Because it gives that consistent sound as you pan across your front soundstage in a multi-channel environment. Now that we're looking at the back of the speaker, let's talk a little bit about what's going on back here. And really, this is a lot to do with how this speaker can be modified to fit into your environment, right? So it's not one size fits all. There's a whole bunch of switches back here that allows you to adjust 3 different perimeters. And we're going to zoom in and we can talk about those 3 different changes that you can make with the cool switches. Now, first off, this is the center, and you can see the switches and the 5-way binding posts there are the same that you see on the towers. So that's really awesome. So you've got high frequency and low frequency. So if you want to buy wire or buy amp these, you can. But you also have this high frequency level switch, right? And the options there are for a damped room, nominal room, or a reverberant room. And this changes the performance of the tweeter. So you can go to any of those 3 positions to adjust that. You then have 2 location switches. One is for behind the screen. So if you do use this in a home theater, you can attenuate the tweeter or not, right? So if you're normal, that's attenuated mode. But if you need a little extra to get through that AT screen, flip that up to the top. And then for boundary compensation, this is for the mid-range mid-bass if you're close to walls. So you can turn that on or off to help adjust with the boominess or not of the speaker. So pretty cool that this speaker has all of those capabilities built in. What about the source devices and amplification that we're going to use to test? So I want to use this in what I consider to be kind of a normal-ish home theater environment. Now, these speakers, the towers by themselves are $6,000 a pair. So, they're, I think, a little bit more expensive than some of the devices that I'm going to pair them with. But this is gear that I think you would normally see in a home kind of room like this. So we have Roon Server streaming Qobuz. That's coming to a Hi-Fi Rose RS150. That's piped into an Accio receiver, which is the amplifier as well, then out to these speakers. And I've got a TCL TV back there. Not that that impacts sound, but hey, it is right there. So that's what we're going to use to test with. And let's go ahead and fire these bad boys up and see what they sound like, because, man, they sure do look good. Now we're going to take a listen to the speakers. And I've told you the signal chain, and now I've got a little bit of music up and running, and let's see what this is like.
I like a big girl. I like them sassy. Going down a back street, listening to Black Street.
All right, the first thing I notice is that the soundstage is pretty good, right? And the room that I'm in is not anything special at all from a treatment point of view. It's a typical kind of living room. It's got some sofas and a rug on the ground, but I don't have any treatments up. But the imaging is solid, right? I can, see the singer here. I can see instrument here. I can feel that stuff move around. And right now I've got it in pure direct mode, so that there's no subs, there's no center channel, there's no processing. It's just the speakers, full range, left and right, listening to the Qobuz over the Hi-Fi Rose. Oh yeah, you can hear it moving around. All right, the singer's like really, really up front, right? So I'm getting really, really rich mid-range here, especially on the vocals. The low end isn't super duper solid. I think the speakers claim down to 30, and maybe a little reinforcement would be good. Now, Obviously, in a home theater system, you're going to have subwoofers for sure. And I'm going to listen to this with subs in just a minute. But right now, I'm just doing the 2-channel. And I would like a little more low end, but I like a extra heavy low end most of the time. So I think for the world, plenty fine, right? But I do like a little bit more. Let's focus on this treble a bit. Okay, with the treble, there are a few things, right? So I was back there flipping switches to kind of tune this up the way I want it, right? The behind the screen mode on these is really bright. So when you put speakers behind acoustically transparent screen, sometimes you can take up to a 2 decibel or even a 3 decibel hit on the super high end, right? And that's what that switch is there to overcome, right? So what you do is you tune the speaker bright and you leave it in that mode. And then when you bring it out from behind the screen, you have to put it back down into not behind the screen mode or normal mode. And that's going to attenuate or roll those tweeters off. In the not behind the screen mode, it's good. It's still a little bright for me, but it sounds quite nice. But in the behind the screen mode, man, that is amped up, and that's got some juice. When I think about the high end, the treble on a speaker, always it's this kind of thing, right? So does the treble go over the top too much and get to the point where it's kind of like and this can absolutely go over the top when it's in behind the screen mode, when it's not behind the screen. So don't run it in behind the screen mode if it's not behind the screen. And I also played with the energy switch at the top, and that neutral switch seems to be the most pleasing to me. I can't really describe what it's doing, but it sounds the most natural in this room. I suppose if I had a really, really damped room, I could put this in. I could try and play with that and see what that did. But for this room, which doesn't have a lot of slap echo, it's pretty decent in here. That neutral setting seemed to be the most pleasing to me. Okay, now I'm going to move this over and I'm going to turn on the subwoofers. I'm going to run this in stereo with the sub in and see what that's like with additional low-end reinforcement. Okay, so I listened to Crave You, the Adventure Club remix, and I have this in stereo mode, 2.1 mode, with the Starke Sound Sub 36, which is a dual 12 inside of an enclosure with a passive radiator helping, right? And then the towers, I believe, are crossed over at 60. To me, this is where they're really coming into their own, right? So they're getting that low-end reinforcement from the subwoofer that really fills the music out. This is electronica, which has a lot of low-end, and everything pops. I'm getting really good texture off of instruments. So, when you hear that snare drum hit, and you know how it's got the springs on the bottom that give it that kind of sizzle sound, you can totally hear that, right? And it's really good. And then this song's not really good from a soundstage point of view because it's just kind of smeared across. But, in the other songs that were more acoustic, it had already had good pinpoint on instrumentation throughout the field. So that's good. So I'm liking these all in all. Now, at a $6,000 price point, you definitely want to have subs. These aren't going to be for the faint of heart at that price point. They're, I think, on the higher end, but build quality is pretty freaking awesome. I love that glass on the top. And then the silver metal plate in the center is just an amazing feature. I mean, they look so good. And in white, they're outstanding. Okay, I'm going to now flip on the TV. I'm going to do a little bit of multi-channel and see what this is like with the center. We can go ahead and just jump into that before we turn it on. So as I was setting this up, I used the Onkyo to tune them for multi-channel mode. And as it was giving the test tones across the speakers, the soundstage are the tonality of the speakers. It was identical. I mean, it sounded amazing. So what that means is as you get things that pan across in multi-channel that move through that center channel, you're not going to be able to tell, right? It's just going to be one fluid soundscape all the way around. And if you had two more of these bad boys in the back, that would extend all the way around. That's super cool. But I'm going to go ahead and flip that over and let's check that out. All right, so for testing out the multi-channel, I'm using this in what I would consider to be not like a full-blown home theater mode, but like a typical kind of media room. So I've got the television acting at the as the source. So that's ARC out into the Onkyo. And then I'm using the Amazon Prime app in the television to actually stream a movie. And right now I'm watching, what is this thing called? The Tomorrow War. I'm sure you guys remember that one. It came out a while back. It's about the aliens that take over and sci-fi kind of stuff. So I'm going to listen to this a bit. And, you know, I've got the subwoofer on, of course, multi-channel. Center channel is going. And I really want to see how well really the audio, the vocals out of that center are going to sound. I totally get it now, right? These speakers have absolutely come into their own in multi-channel world with that center channel going with the subwoofer added on. This was compelling. I mean, the soundstage, I mean, the immersive sound field, it was super wide. The dialogue out of the center channel sounded really natural. It's a really good experience. I can see the money now. I can see what you're paying for when you buy these speakers. The music is good, but I like this even better in home theater media room configuration. And that center channel, that's the one. I think that's really making all the difference here. And, you know, I could hear as people walked across and they're talking, the voices, you know, the tonality was perfect as it moved across in front of me, as it moved from left to center to right. Really, really good. I get it now. So yeah, I like these for music. I like them even more for home theater. Okay, that's going to wrap the review of the 8600Is from Atlantic Technology. I know this might be a brand that you're not familiar with, but I would suggest that you give them a shot if you're thinking about buying some new speakers for your theater, for your media room, for your TV room, whatever, especially that center channel. Now, it's going to take a lot of space to get this thing in somewhere because, you know, it's big and it's heavy. But I think it's worth the effort once you get it installed because, man, it was sounding really good. Now, if you do like this video, there's another one down here that you can check out that I think you'll like as well. Also, subscribe before you do that. Like, ring the bell, share with your friends, and I'll see you in the next video.